Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Number 3, testing, testing. Yeah, there we go.
Good morning. Welcome to our multi-platform worship service. I'm Steve Workman, and I'm pleased to thank our music director, Nate Berge, for overseeing music with the assistance from pianist Joe Kemi, who we've just heard from. I also thank the Restoration singers who will gift us with special music this morning. And of course, I always thank Mike Foy for running our AV tech, and Elizabeth Ann Terry, our Director of Religious Exploration, who will be introducing a story for all ages. In addition to all of that, I'm especially delighted to begin this service with these words. Today's service will be led by our settled minister, the Reverend McKinley Sims. But I'm not giving up the microphone just yet. I have a few small announcements before we move forward. If you haven't already done so, please take a moment now to ensure that your cell phones, smartwatches, or any other devices have been silenced so that we will have no distractions from today's service. Restrooms are located at the rear of the sanctuary, down the flight of stairs to the right, or if you need assistance, there's a mechanical lift on the left, and an usher in the back of the room can help you navigate either of those options. We are streaming live, and if you're joining us online, you can choose to toggle the closed captions feature by clicking the CC button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. This is a UU congregation, which means we are people of many differences. We come from different faith traditions. We are multicultural people with different gender expressions and of all different ways of moving in and showing up in the world. Importantly, we are people who care for one another and who covenant to be together and to act with love for transformation, liberation, and healing. I've been a member of this congregation for over 30 years. What I really appreciate here is that we are a diverse and welcoming community that has no creed, is non-judgmental, and encourages people of all faiths or no faith at all to practice their beliefs in whatever manner they find nurturing and inspirational. Here we work for justice in the world at large and within our community. May our earnest intentions be guiding lights for us this morning, and we will now worship together. In UU congregations, we light a chalice to celebrate our coming together in love and to mark the sacred space and time of our community and to invite the Spirit into our lives. We invite you to light a candle wherever you may be today and to read along with us here in the sanctuary as we speak the words of our chalice lighting, which come from Betya Levine. I'll invite McKinley and Bell to help with the chalice lighting. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. We rise, rise, rise. All of the children rise. Elders with wisdom rise. Ancestors surround us. Rise, rise, rise. Our gathering melody includes lyrics to two different hymns from our gray hymnal. The first is number 268, Jesus Christ is risen today, and the other is number 61, Lo, the earth awakes again. And the words to each of those will be projected on the screen, and I invite you to stand in body or spirit to sing along. Part of our being a community is learning to share the authentic and vulnerable parts of ourselves with others, to see and to be seen, to know and to be known. We make space for that sharing, all of which helps to build this congregation into a beloved community. I invite you to share what's going on in your life, to name your feelings and the people in your lives who are in need of prayer, good energy, best wishes, and other support. I invite you to get into your body and investigate what emotions you're experiencing, to share them as you feel called, so that we can help one another hold our joys, our grief, our in-between feelings. We build community by celebrating our good things, mourning our troubles, taking risks, and listening deeply. For our online sharing, I invite those of you who are joining us on Zoom to share what you're feeling this week and to lift up the names of those about whom you are thinking in the chat. For those in the sanctuary, I'll ask that you come up by the side aisle. Pick up a stone or stones from the basket, infuse or charge it with your joy or sorrow, and place it in the bowl of water, where its energy will ripple out to be held by all of us. If you'd like to share something, please speak directly into the microphone and be mindful that we are broadcasting to the internet. All are welcome to participate in any of these ways. For those who have gathered virtually, I will add stones on your behalf, and Joe will provide some contemplative music to hold these joys and concerns together. The sacred space of deep sharing is now open.
Good morning, I'm Quavo, and we're talking about Susan. She got cancer, and we're thinking about Paul who passed, and we're thinking about Grandma Loie and Papa Bob, and everyone, how's it going? And tell me how you feel. And in 1948, Grandma Loie passed, and we're thinking about Pop, that Sylvia's husband passed.
And we're thinking about, thank you, Clarabelle. And we're thinking about my Aunt Kin, who's in the hospital, sending love to her. All right, thanks.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nate. I'm the music director here, as you know. And today I have a joy. My brother called me this week, and he and his wife have been hoping for a child for several years and learned that they're pregnant.
Hi, my name is Annie, and I'd like to send out deep love to Gary Sobolo, who I believe is out of town.
Hi, my name is Beth Orell. I've been a member of this church for a little over a year, and I just got back from Italy, and I gave $3,000 to the ALS Society in honor of my brother, who is suffering and getting weaker by the day. He now has a 24-hour nurse. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Leslie, and I'm asking for some energy, two different kinds, well, just multiple energies. My mother fell a couple weeks ago. She's 94 years old, but don't awe her. It could have been avoided, but you know, she thinks she's independent and can do stuff that she really can't do, and do stuff that she shouldn't, have done. But anyway, I ask for patience, energy for patience while she heals. Patience for me while she heals. I also ask for healing energy for her. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jim Walters, longtime member here. Many of you know that for quite a few years I was studying for the priesthood in a religious order way back when. One of my good friends during those years, in later years, became the organist and music director in the Minneapolis Cathedral, Jim Frazier. He's been suffering from I don't know dementia, but certainly Parkinson's for a number of years. And in the last few weeks, he's gone incommunicado. I can't reach him. He's usually been very good about quickly responding to emails and calls, and he's just incommunicado. I worry about him. So please keep him in your thoughts.
I'm sending energy out to Don and Susie Zippin, who some of you may know, but this is for them. They're very weak right now.
Good morning. My name is Annabelle. I was happy to make a little good trouble yesterday. I was able to go to the Doylestown rally, and that was a joy. And then when I did my 10 minutes of Instagram hit joy, I saw that Boston had an amazing turnout, and that was exciting to know.
And I was with Jane, I'm Sharon, I was with Jane Holting and a bunch of other people from Voices Rising Philadelphia. We were at the Philly rally.
Welcome back in. The rally in Philadelphia was amazing yesterday. Thousands of people, hard to know how many. But they're getting more direct. The signs are getting funnier and more like punchy. So it's very fun to go, and the rally was well organized. And I think there's a plan to do it every 2 weeks now on Saturdays, if I'm not mistaken. So everyone is welcome and invited to come. Second of all, our son Jaj had a health scare, but he's fine. Everything is fine, so he's good. And so we're, so blessed and grateful for that. And the other thing, I'd just like to ask for some good thoughts and energy for my sister Anne, who lives in Berkeley, California. And I just think it might be nice to have lots of good energy coming her way. That's all. Thank you.
Good morning. It is so joyful to have you back, McKinley. Oh my goodness. Big joy.
We invite Steve Workman to put a few final stones into our bowl for all those joys and sorrows shared online, those held in the quiet of our hearts, and those known only to the great mystery. For me, my joy is to be back here amongst you all. It is so wonderful to be back. Thank you for the gift of sabbatical. I'm full of gratitude, full of joy, full of love, full of British food from being in the UK for 3 weeks. And I'm so, so glad to be back amongst my people. So I hope that we can take all the joys and sorrows that have been expressed here on this day where we talk about joy and sorrow as part of the Easter story. I invite us to take our hands and put them on our heart if you're willing. If you want to just keep them in your lap, please do so. And let's simply take a few moments to feel our hearts beat together. All of our individual stories make up the story of this community, of this congregation, here in this country. And we are part of the great American story as well, and may our story be one that is full of joy and sorrow. Joy that brings us back into community, and sorrow that holds us in community. May our faith here in this place be one of joy, be one of courage, and be one of love. May all these things be so. Blessed be. Amen. Amen. I invite Elizabeth Ann Terry forward to introduce our story for all ages, and invite our little ones who may be hanging out in my office to come on out to hear a story. If we have children of all ages, we invite you, if you're feeling brave, to come on down, come forward.
Yay! Good morning, all. I'm Elizabeth Ann Terry, your Director of Religious Exploration, and I have loved that we were exploring, in many ways, joy this month. In many ways. So many holidays sort of like come clustered together. It's kind of amazing. Today is Easter Sunday. We just had Passover a while back. It was the Ramadan. And we have coming up Earth Day. This, the family-friendly movie night on Friday at 5:30 will celebrate Earth Day with a short cartoon and then a wonderful video about the seals of Galapagos. And so all are welcome, and it is family friendly. Mike, are we set to go? Okay, it's gone.
The Little Book of Joy.
No volume, please.
By the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Read to you today by Gansel.
It's all good.
One of us grew up in a little house. One of us grew up in a big house. Our houses were on opposite sides of the world.
Where's it again? Okay, often we were sad and lonely. You started again?
The Little Book.
The Little Book of Joy, written by His Holiness Dalai Lama and Bishop Tutu from South Africa.
Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Read to you today by
Well, let's
Gansel.
let that person speak.
One of us grew up in a little house. One of us grew up in...
It's all good, Mike.
The Little Book of Joy by the Dalai Lama.
Oh, God, and now it's
Archbishop
gone from my
Desmond
screen.
Tutu.
Well, I was all set for the other person to be speaking, and the book is now gone from my screen. We're having fun. We're experiencing joy. Yes. If it hasn't started yet, I have a few things to say. Yeah. So this book for grown-ups exists, and it's basically a conversation between His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Bishop Tutu. And they laugh a lot. It's wonderful. And then this book was done for kids. Okay. I think it's this one. You know, usually our story is very smooth. But you know, it's all good because we're having joy. Okay. Okay, I give up. Let's enjoy this story told by whoever's telling it. Mike, volume, please. Yay, we started again.
The Little Book of Joy. Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Read to you today by Gabby. One of us grew up in a little house. One of us grew up in a big house. Our houses were on opposite sides of the world. Often we were sad and lonely. Both of us wished for a friend. Sometimes the other kids wouldn't let us play, or they were very far away. We wondered if we would always be sad and lonely. But then we sat still and breathed in the quiet. We noticed something beautiful. If you just focus on the thing that is making you sad, then the sadness is all you see. But if you look around, you will see that joy is everywhere. Joy is the warm, tingly feeling of the sun tickling your toes in the morning. It's the giggly, squiggly feeling when you are doing something silly. And it's the soft, snuggly feeling of being all wrapped up, cozy in your bed at night. Even when you are caught in the rain and your joy is washed away, it's waiting at the bottom of the puddle. Even if you slam the door and your joy can't get in, it's just on the other side, waiting in a loving hug. And even if there's a loud noise in the night and your joy gets scared away, it comes streaming right back with the light of the silvery moon. Joy is the bubbly, bouncing feeling of finding a good friend. And once you let your joy in, like magic, your heart always has room for more. We discovered that the more joy we shared, the more joy we had. And the more joy we had, the more joy we could share. So look for the joy all around you and share it. Write it in a letter. Play it on a drum. Sing it to the sky. It will travel up in the air, across the ocean. Someone will find it and share it. And as it spreads from person to person, the world will fill with joy. The end. Take a second to read about the Dalai Lama and Bishop Desmond Tutu. We have so much more to learn. Be blessed. If you just focus on the thing that is making you sad, then the sadness is all you see. But if you look around, you will see that joy is everywhere. The little...
I think it was maybe worth the wait and the confusion. Joy is everywhere. What if we looked out into our world and we expected to experience joy. I'm liking that. Well, the young people are going to come downstairs with us, lesson. And I heard a hint about baskets and eggs and toys and stickers. So Miss Jill, Miss Lena will lead the way down, and I will follow. Thank you.
Friends, we'll sing our song to invite our kids downstairs. You can head right out that way, follow Miss Jill and Miss Lena. We'll see you afterwards. And ARFA, everyone.
Good morning. Now is the time when we collect our offering. I'm supposed to say I'm a board member of this place, of financial resources for the good of this community. We know there are many ways to give back to the congregation, and we encourage you to find a way that works for you. For giving of financial support, your money or checks put in the plate for today will be used to fund everyday operations of this congregation. Any pocket change or other money that you designate for Change online or by putting them in the white envelopes in the pews will be sent to this month's selected Change for Change organization. The Esperanza Immigrant Legal Services, an organization providing free immigration legal services, education, and advocacy to support low-income Latino and other immigrants so they can live here safely. More info is on your screen about how to give online, and anyone can use the mobile app Vanco Mobile. Please know that if this is your first time with us, there is no expectation that you give anything other than a yellow contact form or letting us know how you found us and how we can support you. The offering will now be gratefully accepted.
thank both Joe and Nate for that gift. McKinley has selected 10 quotes by Paul Tillich for me to present to you. And before I do that, I want to provide the briefest of overviews so that you'll understand and know who Paul Tillich was. He was born in 1886 in a village that at the time was located in the province of Brandenburg in Germany, but today it's located within the boundaries of Poland. He was ordained as a Lutheran minister in 1912. He was a widely respected theologian and philosopher whose early academic career was spent in Germany before he was targeted as an enemy of the Reich in 1933. Subsequently, he was invited to take a position at New York's Union Theological Seminary, and he spent the rest of his career in the United States at Harvard University and the University of Chicago, in addition to Union Theological Seminary. He died in 1965, and he was well known as a Christian existentialist. Among other concepts he has promoted was that the resurrection that's celebrated by Christians today was a spiritual rather than a religious and physical event. Now, provide those 10 quotes. The first one, all things and all people, so to speak, call on us with small or loud voices. They want us to listen. They want us to understand their intrinsic claims, their justice of being. But we can give it to them only through the love that listens. The second quote, the name of this infinite and inexhaustible depth and ground of all being is God. Third quote, God does not exist. God is being itself, beyond essence and beyond existence. Therefore, to argue that God exists is to deny God. Fourth, doubt is not the opposite of faith. It is one element of faith. Fifth, in those who rest on their unshakable faith, Pharisaism and fanaticism are the unmistakable symptoms of doubt which has been repressed. Doubt is not overcome by repression, but by courage. Courage does not deny that there is a doubt, but it takes the doubt into itself as an expression of its own finitude and affirms the content of an ultimate concern. Courage does not need the safety of an unquestionable conviction. It includes the risk without which no creative life is possible. Sixth quote, fear is the absence of faith. Seventh, sometimes I think it is my mission to bring faith to the faithless and doubt to the faithful. 8, because the first duty of love is to listen. 9, you are accepted. You are accepted by that which is greater than you, and the name of which you do not know. Do not ask for the name now. Perhaps you will find it later. Do not try to do anything now. Perhaps later you will have to do much. Do not seek for anything. Do not perform anything. Do not intend anything. Simply accept the fact that you are accepted. And finally, I hope for the day when everyone can speak again of God without embarrassment. And now I'll welcome McKinley back to the pulpit to provide today's homily.
Thank you, Steve. Happy Easter. For those of us who may not be familiar with Easter, this can sometimes happen in UU congregations, here's a quick recap. Easter is the story that is full of myth and miracle, right? It's the story of Jesus of Nazareth, a rabbi, an itinerant, homeless Palestinian rabbi who was brown-skinned, funded by women, ran around with working class people, trying to help make the world a better place and preaching this message of a love that accepts all, a love that is all-encompassing. And because of this message, he is labeled an enemy of the Roman Empire that is occupying where he lives in the land of Judea, what we now call the state of Israel and the state of Palestine. And Jesus is crucified, executed by the Roman government for being a threat to the empire. And after 3 days, his disciples, his family, his chosen family, witness what they call resurrection. Resurrection. This is a story full of myth and miracle, and for many UUs, we think this cannot possibly have anything to teach us, modern, enlightened people that may not believe in some of these stories. And I hear that, and I offer that while that may be true, there may be no parallel between a time and a place where a religious minority living in a homeland recently overtaken by an occupying force, bent on persecuting its enemies and ruling by fear, disappearing anyone who disagrees and seeking to enrich themselves at the expense of the common people, while using religious language and symbols to justify their violence and greed, probably doesn't make any sense for us, right? Because this is important to know about the Easter story, that it's taking place underneath the Roman occupation of Jerusalem and the surrounding area. And in the Roman Empire, you had to confess and profess that the king, the emperor, the Caesar, was the son of God, was the son of the god Apollo. And the common refrain in Rome was that Caesar is Lord. And if anything less than that, if you did not believe in that, if you worked against that, persecution at the very least, and at the most, you were crucified. Crucifixion is a word that many of us may know. It did not exist until the Romans invented it. They invented it as a way to execute people, but not just to kill someone. They invented crucifixion to teach everyone a lesson, to make a public statement about what it meant to defy the Roman Empire. It was like an executive order, right? It was designed to scare people into submission. It was designed to crush any dissent, any community building, any expressions of joy or solidarity. It was designed to keep the peace, the Roman peace, a peace that was built on fear of the sword, fear of persecution. It was strongman tactics way before it was popular. And in this time of occupation and in this time of crucifixion, this ragtag bunch of yokels, people of different skin tones from different places who spoke different languages, from different levels of social strata, got together to proclaim amongst themselves resurrection. Resurrection happens. There are lots of different words of understanding the resurrection, lots of different ways of understanding the resurrection. Paul Tillich is one of my favorite theologians. He has this way of understanding resurrection. But what's important to know about the resurrection is that it happens in this political context, in this empire context, in this context of fear and oppression. And in spite of all of that, in spite of the fear of crucifixion, in spite of the example of the crucifixion of Jesus of Nazareth, this group of people gets together to proclaim resurrection. In a time when it is dangerous to speak up, the early church, as we call them, is full of stories of people who were witnesses to resurrection. Oftentimes, the witnessing of the resurrection led to death, led to persecution, led to more crucifixions. In a time when it was dangerous to speak up, these people lived their faith out loud. They spoke their values. They risked the crucifixion to be people of faith. Those who are not killed, who are not persecuted, are forced to go underground, to meet in secret, to meet in the dead of night and outside of the city walls, to meet in basements, to form the first congregations. And when they get together, the early church, they don't get together and they don't sit in pews. They might have sung songs. I'm sure they had prayers. But the central thing that they did when they got together was to eat together. to share conversation with one another. They called these agape meals, the Greek word for love. They called them love feasts. And before they would meet on a certain day of the week, in secret, they would go around their neighborhoods and make sure that everyone was invited who had heard the story, who wanted to be a witness to resurrection. They made sure that everyone had money to pay their rent. They made sure that they had a place to sleep. They made sure that they knew that they were loved and accepted and invited to hear this message of a love that accepts all, a love that is so dangerous to the Roman Empire, they tried to kill it on a cross. But they meet at these love feasts to share a meal and to tell the story of Jesus of Nazareth and to proclaim resurrection happens. We're going to talk about two Pauls very briefly. The first Paul we've heard of is Paul Tillich, this German theologian who was forced to leave his home by the Nazis, came to America, was known as the theologian's theologian, was kind of like a rock star theologian back in the 1950s and 60s, even though he spoke with a heavy German accent and used big words that were hard to understand. A famous refrain, someone listened to one of his sermons, and then they were dialoguing afterwards, and a guy reached over and said to his partner, "What did you think of Tillich's sermon?" He said, "I didn't understand it, but woo, it was something." He spoke about the resurrection, saying, could it be a historical event? Can we prove that it happened? No. That was not important. What was important was that the witnesses to the resurrection, the early church people who gathered together in these love feasts, that they proclaimed resurrection happens. And the resurrection was happening in their hearts, in their spirits, as they formed these communities of love and acceptance in defiance of the Roman Empire. That their faith was a faith of courage. And Paul Tillich is big on courage. Their faith was courageous affirmation of themselves and their communities, despite and in spite of the Roman Empire. It's very important that their faith was courageous in spite of this great looming darkness, this great fear. Paul Tillich, who grew up in Germany, spoke to the context of resurrection. The Apostle Paul is our second Paul. He wrote a letter to the Roman church. You may have read it. It's very famous. It's included in the Christian scriptures that many call the New Testament. Paul's letter to the Romans is this beautiful pastoral letter. It's full of lots of complicated theology that we can't get into right now. But there's an interesting line when Paul is speaking to this group of people who have been forced underground, who are meeting with these love feasts to proclaim resurrection. And he says, be subject to the governing authorities. Be subject to the Roman Empire. That's his advice. And you read that and you think, well, that's kind of weird. And there are people who are in power now who for the last 4 years did not believe in that, being subject to the governing authorities, but now love to tell people like me to be subject to the governing authorities because the Apostle Paul said so in a letter to the Romans 2,000 years ago. But here's the interesting thing about this letter. When Paul writes this letter to the Roman church that says be subject to the governing authorities, he also goes on to talk about power and authority and like who you should obey, kind of like Dr. Martin Luther King. Do we obey just laws or unjust laws? And you can't obey an unjust law, right? So it's okay to break that law. It's kind of like that. But his point is basically, if there's a group of people who do not participate in your social covenant, in your faith covenant, who do not hold your same values, right? Who do not speak the same theological language as you, if they are willing to kill anyone, to disappear anyone who dissents, if they are willing to break the foundational laws of your country, they're no longer part of the social contract, right? And you do not have to obey those laws because they are so far out of the bounds that only the love that they try to kill on a cross can save them. That's not something you hear about in these churches that tell you to be subject to the governing authorities. Then he goes on to say what you have to do, the only law you have to obey, is the law that says love one another. And if you keep that law, you are obeying the only authority you need. So when they get together and have these love feasts and say that resurrection happens, they use this Greek word, anastasis. Anastasis. If you know someone named Anastasia, if you know a Greek person named Tass, that's where they get this name, anastasis. It means resurrection. But it doesn't just mean resurrection. It also means literally raising up something, lifting up. It also means lifting someone out of poverty, out of despair, out of depression. It also means restoring what was broken. When the early church got together and had these love feasts, that's what they were doing. They weren't just proclaiming resurrection, they were doing it. It was happening in their hearts, but they were also doing resurrection, making sure that people had enough to eat, making sure that people heard the message that they were loved and accepted. When they sang in these underground churches, meeting in basements under fear of persecution and death, they sang with courage and with joy. It might feel like it can be hard to be joyful here. But joy happens despite and in spite of those authorities that are so far out of the social contract that we need not concern ourselves with every waking moment of what's happening, what's the next horrible thing. Because there's going to be a next horrible thing. But that does not mean that when we gather together for our love feasts, that we can't sing with joy, live with joy every morning, finding joy in the small, everyday, normal things. Because to live with joy is to live courageously, to practice our UU faith with courage, the courage that Paul Tillich spoke about, the courage that is in spite of the horrible thing, the courage that says that you are accepted. That was his definition of faith, to live with purpose and with joy and with love in spite of, take your pick. In our context today, I invite us to think about resurrection and to practice resurrection. Because the love that is so big, that accepts, that they tried to kill on a cross, should have died in that first century when they were crucifying people to send a message and ruling with fear and the sword. And it didn't. Because on Easter, we are reminded that resurrection happens. No matter how awful the thing is, no matter how many times they try to proclaim that Caesar is Lord, and that is the only way, resurrection happens. May our faith be one of resurrection. May it live with joy and courage, in spite of and despite the context that we are in. May we have a faith that is based in the courage to be, the courage to do, the courage to speak, the courage to be seen, the courage to be heard, the courage to be lifted up, to be resurrected whenever we come to these love feasts. May we be witnesses to this joy, and may we proclaim that joy to one another when we need it. I am so joyful to be back amongst you, and I am so looking forward to our resurrection. May it be so. Amen. invite our choir to rise, be resurrected, and come forward and share our special music today. Thank you, choir. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Joe Kenny, for providing piano and wonderful music for us. We are so joyful. Friends, it has come time to extinguish our chalice, and in this part of our service today, we want to invite folks of all ages to come and be witnesses to the resurrection of joy outside with our Easter egg hunt following the service, and invite little ones to participate. We would greatly appreciate that, and if you've never seen it, you want to talk about joy. That's what it looks like. We have announcements that will happen by the slides, and we'll make some announcements downstairs during coffee hour. Folks who are on Zoom, please let me know how you're doing. And for everyone here, general announcement, I would love to catch up with you. Please send me an email, send me a text message, find some time that we can get together, because I want to know how you're doing so that we can catch up and share some joy. I plan to do like a show and tell of what I did on my sabbatical at some point, probably after the town hall that's happening next week with Rep. Rabb and Senator Haywood. So I'll show you pictures and tell you all about what I did, so I'm not having to do it individually to everyone. But I'll tell you more about that later. We have our newsletter that goes out on an email. You can find more what's going on in your order of service. Check us out on social media, Facebook, YouTube, all the places. We're doing a lot of information sharing. And thank you, just in general. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for making time in your week, for coming to celebrate joy, and maybe to be witnesses to resurrection today. I am so, so grateful and so, so full of joy. So let us extinguish our chalice with words from Batia Levine, who provided the words for today's chalice lighting as well. I invite you to read them with me as Steve extinguishes our chalice. Will you read? We rise, humbly hearted, rise, 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 won't be divided, rise, 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 with spirits to guide us, rise, 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 up from the wreckage, rise, 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 with tears and with courage, rise, 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 fighting for life, we rise, rise, rise. Will you rise in body or in spirit to sing our final hymn, number 131, Love Will Guide Us. This is in the gray hymnal. Number 131, Love Will Guide Us. Thank you, friends. Hear these words. You are accepted by that which is greater than you and by which name you do not know. This great love that accepts us. That is where our joy and our courage stem from. I love you. Happy Easter. The Christ is risen indeed, and we say Alleluia. Can we say Alleluia? Alleluia. Alleluia is one of those words that they used back in the day. It was a reminder that in spite and despite everything, there is a love that holds us and listens, and it is present here in this space. Happy Easter. Alleluia. Have a great week, folks. Thank you, thank you.
We rise, humbly hearted, rise.
Great job.
Won't be divided, rise, with spirit to guide us, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, we find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here and we rise up from the wreckage, rise with tears and with courage, rise fighting for life. We rise in hope, in prayer. We find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here in hope, in prayer. We find ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here and we rise, humbly hearted, rise, won't be divided, rise, with spirit to guide us, rise.
If you come to our concert in 2 weeks, maybe if you will, you'll hear a choral version of something from Handel's Cantor Feast. We're doing senior moment here. Which Handel are we doing for the concert?